Thank you for joining Money Simplified, your guide to money and mutual funds, presented by Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund. We appreciate your participation. At PersonalFN, we're committed to help investors achieve their financial goals and objectives. Our core proposition is built around unbiased research and financial planning. We wish to thank Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund for partnering with us in this investor education and awareness initiative. Welcome to this special series on life goals brought to you by Money Simplified, your guide to money and mutual funds. We are glad to have you with us for the 6th session of Women and Financial Planning series, and that is Estate Planning for Women. Benjamin Franklin, a renowned polymath who was a leading author, political theorist, civic activist, statesman, and a diplomat, once said, "In this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes." Yet most people avoid thinking about estate planning. Why do I need it so early in my life is a question raised by most individuals. It is for those who have crossed the prime is the lore one lives with. Also, they don't realize that there's more to estate planning than just a will. Philanthropy and charity can also form an important part of the will. Married women with dependent parents ought to understand the nuances of estate planning so as to make informed decisions to ensure financial security, well-being of their dependents or loved ones. You see, dying intestate, that is without preparing a will, can lead to various complications and disagreements amongst your loved ones, your legal heirs. And hence, you should pragmatically think about estate planning. Remember, estate planning is not only for the wealthy or those who are nearing retirement. Neither it is for only the men to handle. The fact is, it is for everybody in today's world. So in this session, we'll discuss how women should go about estate planning. First, let's understand what is estate planning. Estate planning in simple terms refers to passing assets or investments down from one generation to another. You decide how much of your estate, be it the properties, cars, personal accolades, financial investments, etc., you want to pass on to whom and how after your demise. Estate planning is a dynamic process. It needs to be reviewed at regular intervals to absorb any changes that may happen in your life or in the laws of the country. Let's come to the merits. Why estate planning? In a ruthless materialistic world we live in today, many are unfortunately greedy, wanting to grab a piece of your pie. With a prudent estate plan, you can avoid the serious disputes among family members, children, siblings over your estate. During your old age, or sometimes even early in life, you may be incapacitated to think. Your loved ones or heirs may also face such a syndrome. Hence, if you engage in estate planning earlier, it can keep you prepared to handle contingencies. Life is quite unpredictable, and hence you should begin at preferably in the mid-asset accumulation phase, that is between 35 to 45 years, or latest in the protection phase of your life cycle when you're between 45 to 55 years. Estate planning is one of the most essential aspects of your lives and should not be put off until it's too late. You don't need to wait till you own plenty of assets or investments or till your retirement for estate planning. It is advisable to prepare a will early once you have certainty about your assets and legal heirs to whom you want to pass on your wealth. Estate planning ensures that your physical assets and financial assets, that is your investments, are inherited by the people to whom you want them to be bequeathed after your demise. The law might not take into account your personal relationships or preferences while distributing assets if you die intestate, that is, dying without a will. Without proper planning, it is possible that the law disposes your estate even among distant relatives who may not be your first choice of beneficiaries. It also avoids complications, disagreement, bitterness, and drift in the family. Prevents financial, emotional, and legal grief to your loved ones when they're already in pain over the death of their dear one. If estate planning is done prudently, it can even help reduce your tax outgo. For instance, instead of passing on assets after your death, you might give them to your loved ones while you are alive. If left to the prevailing intestacy rules, there is a chance that a higher amount of tax may be applicable on your property and other assets. Besides, you can also make separate provisions for tax payment. For example, you can provide for tax liabilities separately from your residuary estate if you don't want to reduce the inheritance value of assets by the way of taxes. There are ways to go about estate planning, but broadly there are two: wills and trust. Let's talk about wills first. Wills are cornerstone of all estate plans. Therefore, a will needs to be judiciously drafted. This will help you as a testator to make a valid will and even enhance the understanding of your current financial strength and an opportunity to improve upon it in your remaining lifespan. Here are points to note while writing a will. Number 1. You ought to be 18 years of age and above and of sound mind to write a legit will. The will should be free from coercion, fraud, and undue influences. A will should have the title Last Will and Testament of, that is, state your name here to make it clear that the document is your will. State your full name, current address, and the fact that you are of sound mental health and under no undue duress from anyone to make the will. It is necessary to bring in clarity that the will is prepared in complete sense. Even though it is not necessary, it is advisable to state the name of the executor, that is, the person who will carry through the principles of the will. You can name your spouse or the main beneficiary. If you are nominating an outside person to be the executor of your will, you must take their permission first. If you have minor children, you must also indicate a guardian for them in your absence. A will can be handwritten or typed out. No stamp paper is necessary. You can write a will on a simple A4 size paper, sign and date it with minimum 2 witnesses and keep it in a secure location. Don't forget to date your will. A will without date is not maintainable. If you have more than one will, the one with the latest date will nullify all other wills. Ensure that the will is simple, precise, and clear, otherwise there may be problems for your legal heirs. It is always better to take the advice of trusted advocate or an estate planner when writing your will. It is not compulsory that you register your will, but if you wish to give any property or asset to any charitable organization, then registration should be done. Likewise, in order to avoid frauds and tampering, it is preferable to get the will registered. It is possible to make changes or minor alterations in a will if you wish to do so. However, in case there are too many changes or major changes, it will be better to make an entirely new will. Each page of the will should be serially numbered and signed by you, the testator and the witness, whom you have evinced trust. This is to prevent the will being substituted, replaced, or pages being inserted by the people intending to commit fraud. At the end of the will, you, the testator, should indicate the total number of pages in the will. Corrections, if any, should be countersigned. If you bequeath assets to your minor children, make sure you appoint a guardian for the assets till the time the said minors reach an adult age. Don't forget that while writing a will, laws of the country, your religion, also play an important role. Remember that your will is one of the most important documents you'll create detailing the distribution of your wealth to your loved ones. So ensure that it's done correctly. Should you consider writing a will online? If you have a simple, small family, husband, wife, one child, and you are not controlling any business enterprise but earning a salary and wealth through the same, you can consider making a will online. But ensure that there aren't complexities involved at the domestic front. Most online will writing portals are backed by legal services firms. Writing a will online is cost effective. You also have the provision to revise the will online. Besides a will, you can also create a trust to transfer the assets to your beneficiaries. A trust is an agreement between the settlor and the trustees to transfer the legal ownership of assets or property to the trustee with the obligation that the same should be held for the benefit of the beneficiaries as specified in the trust deed. So a trust has basic four components. Settler, also known as the author of the trust, he is the one who settles the trust. Trustee, one who administers the trust and is appointed by the settler. Beneficiaries, they are the ones for whose benefit the trust is created. Trust property or trust money, which is the subject matter of the trust, comprising of both movable and immovable property. A trust should ideally be complemented by a will. Trust can help you decide how and when your beneficiaries must receive their inheritance. Creating a trust is largely useful in case where your spouse and minor children are unable to manage their finances on their own. But overseeing a trust is a critical aspect. Don't live by the fallacy that mere nomination is enough. Mere nomination is not enough. Nominees are not necessarily your legal heirs. They are trustees of your assets. Nominees aren't always the owner of your assets. The owner of the asset will be the legal heir as per the will, or if you die intestate, that is, in the absence of a will, the transmission would be as per the country's succession laws. Thus, if you wish to pass your mutual fund holdings to your loved ones, ensure they are not just nominees but beneficiaries as pronounced in the will. Remember, the nominees registered under the nomination facility provided by a mutual fund does not necessarily acquire any title or beneficial interest in the units. Nominees receive the units only as trustee for the legal heirs or the legatees. The mutual fund house is not bound to transmit the units in favor of the nominee in the event of any dispute in relation to the nominee's entitlement to the units. So take services of a trusted lawyer or an estate planner. If you aren't confident about doing estate planning on your own, don't hesitate to reach out to an estate planner or a trusted lawyer. Qualities of an estate planner cannot be judged in a single meeting, but over several meetings. But he needs to be righteous, highly proficient, approachable, and have the ability to comprehend the testator's needs. Moreover, you need to deeply engage with the estate planner, asking pertinent questions. So before we wrap up our today's learning session, here are a few final points to remember. Estate planning should not be thought just before or after retirement. Life is quite unpredictable, and hence, earlier you think through and plan, the better it is. Don't live under the notion that your legal heir will handle it maturely. Unfortunately, many disputes happen over money in today's materialistic world. The nominee registered under the nomination facility provided by a mutual fund does not necessarily acquire any title or beneficial interest in the units. The nominees receive the units only as a trustee for the legal heirs or legatees. The mutual fund is not bound to transmit the units in favor of the nominee in the event of any dispute in relation to the nominee's entitlement to the units. Seek views of a trusted lawyer or an estate planner while you think of estate planning. A will is a cornerstone of estate planning and hence needs to be drafted judiciously. Even a trust should be ideally complemented by a will. An estate plan ensures that your physical assets and financial assets, that is, your investments, are inherited by the people to whom you want them to be transferred to after your demise. And last but not the least, remember, estate planning is not only for the wealthy, it's for everyone, irrespective of the quantum of wealth you own and the economic strata you come from. So to end our learning exercise today, we now invite you to test your learning by taking this simple quiz and win exciting prizes. Thank you for participating. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.